Okay, the first assignment we're going to have in Excel is how to create a simple maze, or you could make it as simple or as creative as you want. So let's learn about Excel. So let's go ahead and open up the instructions here in Blackboard. And the first thing it wants us to do is open up a blank workbook in Excel. So open up your Excel program. And let's go ahead and take a look around it here. We've got our ribbon up at the top, just like we had with our other programs. The main area is a little bit different. We've got our bunch of grid lines here, and across the top we have alphabet, which is the columns, followed by numbers along the side, which is our rows. So our cell address names would be like here's A1, or we've got D8, or we've got I11. Your column letter is always going to come first, followed by your row number. So here in Excel we're going to first look at a maze, and so the first thing you want to do is save your workbook, and to do that it's the same way we did in our other programs. We'll go to File, let's go to Save As. I'm going to go ahead and save mine on my desktop just so I can find it later, and just name it with your last name followed by maze, and save. So here at the top of your worksheet it says Sessions, Maze, or your last name in maze. The first thing it wants us to do is select column A through Z. So we're going to move our mouse up to the top of the column right over A until it becomes a down pointing arrow. One of the things you really need to watch when you're working in Excel is what your mouse looks like, because it depends upon where your mouse is pointing. It's going to change shape, and the different shapes of the mouse do different things. So here when we want to select our column, we want to go clear up over the A. We can do the same thing with the row, to clear over by the number. We're going to come up here by the A, and if you click with your left mouse key, you're going to select the entire column from A1 clear down to A532, or however big your worksheet is. Now we want to select column A to Z, so I'm just going to click and I'm going to hold down and drag until I have clear over here, and I've now selected column A through Z. Now we want to make our column width to be 2. There's a couple of ways we can change our column width. When you know the actual number, the easiest way is to come over here on your Home tab and click in the cells grouping on Format. We've got our row height, and here's our column width, and we're just going to change this to 2 and say OK. Let's go ahead and bring my file down here so I can see my instructions. So I've highlighted columns A to Z. I formatted the column width to 2. Got that all done. And now I want to highlight cells A1 to Z26 and make an outline border. There's a couple different ways we can select a range. You can click in cell A1 and then make sure your mouse is a white fat plus sign, and click with your left mouse key and hold down and go down to Z26. That's one way you can select a range. Or up here we have what's called a name box, and up in our name box we can just type in that range. We can type in A1 colon Z26, or whatever range of cells that we're looking for, and hit enter, and it's going to select that range for us. Now we want to make an outside border on here. So on the Home tab, right here in the font grouping, we have our border. I can click on this little drop down arrow, and here is outside border. So I'm going to click on outside border, and then when I click off of it, you can see now I have lines. Now if I go to the print preview, I go to File and Print, you can see I have a square outline on my spreadsheet now. I'm going to click my back arrow. You might want to go ahead and save it at this point. And now we're going to use the mouse and the control button to click on cells that's going to be your maze path. Now there's an example here in your worksheet or in your instructions. And a maze, I mean, think of like a corn maze. Now you're just creating one, or you can think about it like a path through your garden. So I'm going to click on A1, and I can hold down my control key, and just leaving your control key down, just click to make a path of some sort. And you can make it, like I said, as intricate or as simple as you want. You can even drag to select your path. Just make sure that, you know, when you turn corners, you just select the one path here. And like I said, you can be as simple or as busy as you want it to be. And so once you have your path figured out for your maze, you're going to come up here in the font grouping and you're going to fill. Now it doesn't matter what color you use. You can just use the yellow here, or if you like green or blue, you know, whatever you want. I would just make it a kind of a dark color so you can see it. And now you can click off of it, and so now you have your path outlined in with the yellow. It's like you've put down your paving stones over your path. So now you might want to go ahead and save it, because you've got your path made. But we need to put borders on our path. Now there's a couple of different ways we can apply borders to our path. Up here we can just click in cell A1, and for this one, okay, our border we only want to be down here on the bottom. So we can actually come up here in the font grouping, and we can click on our font, and we can just say bottom border. And we can click on B1, and again, bottom border. And we can go all the way through that way. Or what we can do is we can come up here in other ways. We can come down here to where it says draw border, and we can click on that, and that's going to give us a little pin. And we can just click on the edges where we want the border. And you can even click and drag. Okay, but you want to do this all the way through your maze. Oops. And you just want to put a border on your path. Okay, once you have all of your borders drawn around your path, now you're ready to use this border button again to make false paths. So you want to make some false paths for people to go down and get lost in your maze. So to do that, I'm just going to come up here, and I'm just going to make some false paths for people to follow. And again, you can be as intricate or as simple as you want. So I'm just going to go through here and make some paths out from my maze. And put as many as you want. Now the thing you have to do is you have to go in and you need to make gates so that people can follow the maze. So they go down the false paths that you make. So now we're going to come up and let's see this instructions. You can use the print preview to find out how it's going. So if we come up here to File and Print, you can see here's our different paths off of our maze. And what I want to do now is I want to go back and I'm going to erase, I'm coming in here to erase border, and I'm going to erase some of the borders so that they go back. Oops, wrong one here. Now I can come back up here and grab the pencil again, draw that back in, come back in, get my eraser, and so you're just going to look through here and make your paths off of your maze. Okay. And so once you have all of your false paths in there, we're going to add a row, or let's see, we're going to merge and center some of the cells at the beginning of our maze so we can put in start. So I'm going to come up here, get rid of this, come up to A1. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Don't want that bottom border there. Going to turn the draw border off. In A1, I'm going to type in start. You want to make sure that you can see it. You might need to merge and center some cells. Here, to do that, I would select A through C, and then come up here to the merge and center button. And I'm going to do the same down here at the bottom for end. And I can select the range and put an end. Make sure when you do this that you might have to go back up and put a border in here. Oops, didn't want one like there. So kind of gets a little, click on that to turn it off. Don't get in a hurry when you do this. I mean, take your time. Okay. What I want to do now is I'm going to select my whole maze here, and I'm going to remove the color. I want to keep the borders. I'm just going to remove the color. So I can come up here to my paint bucket, and I can say no fill. And there's my maze. I want to add a row to the top of my maze. So I'm going to just click anywhere up in the top row and come up here to where it says insert and insert sheet row. And up here at the top, I want to enter the title, like this is going to be Linda's Maze. And then I'm going to merge and center these because I want my title centered. So I'm going to click in A1 and just drag clear down to Z1. And I'm going to come up here to merge and center. And there's my maze. I want to add a cell style to this. I want it to look more interesting. So I'm going to come over here with my first row still selected, come over here into my home tab and click on cell styles, and just click on one of these just to kind of make it stand out. I don't care which one, just add a cell style to it. And you want to make sure you save it. And if you look at the print preview here, here's my maze. Now you want to have somebody do it to make sure that it's can be completed. When I'm grading these, I actually open up each one and I look through and I see if I can do the maze. So I'll actually take my mouse and see if I can complete the maze. So you want to make sure that it does have a solution, and only one solution. And when you're ready, go ahead and submit it in Blackboard and for a grade. try to have some fun with it. Maybe you can make a maze that's your initials or a cat's face. Have some fun with it, print it out, and have somebody else complete it, and see how well you do when I'm grading it. So that's the first assignment in Excel.